Hello, beautiful humans. Welcome back to Your Sacred Self, where we believe in empowering you to be your own healer and have foundational tools and knowledge to experience more peace and clarity in your life. I'm Anastasia, and I am so excited to share with you the Ayurveda that I have learned to come and understand. I feel like it's different than anything else you might see out there on the internet. I know that Ayurveda is a very new concept, but from my perspective, Ayurveda is a lens that we can view the world, and it's foundational knowledge that we can apply to anything. So I hope that you stick around and to see what it is that I mean when I say that. So we'll talk about the foundations, the parts that I think is important, and also what Ayurveda is and what Ayurveda isn't. Okay, so the first two pillars that we're going to talk about are the Mahabhutas and meditation. So in Ayurveda, everything, and this is why it's such a foundational piece of knowledge, is because it's both cosmic and macro. And when I say that, I mean that Ayurveda recognizes that we are all connected and everything is linked together. And when we understand the elements, we can use those to make sense of everything that's going on in your life, literally everything. If you think of the elements and the foundational aspects, well, Ayurveda, and that builds up and makes everything how life started from carbon and then new elements just kept building and building. Well, the Mahabhutas are kind of like that, and there's 5 of them, and they are air, ether, earth, water, and fire. And so once you understand those elements and how they represent and come up in our body and in our mind and emotions that we experience in our life can be applied to anything. And I think that is such a powerful concept that should not be overlooked. And that's what I mean when I say that it is foundational knowledge, because when you are able to break down anything that you're experiencing in your life, I think that is so powerful to have the tools and the knowledge to be able to approach that from this foundational aspect. So the Mahabhutas, there's 5 there, and then they combine to something. And even if these words don't, I'd want a side note here, if they don't make sense to you, just let it all wash over you in its repetition in time, that it all starts to eventually sink in. So please don't feel overwhelmed by any of this information. I know it's a lot of new key terms and words. So we have the Mahabhutas, and then they converge and come together to 3 main elements: air, earth, and fire. And so if you go online, you'll notice that they will break things down into, oh, you're a Pitta or you're a Kapha. And that was very confusing to me in the beginning. And so the insight that I have to offer you here is that it's not that black and white. As we go through seasonal changes, this is one example. The summer is more Pitta. And so your body is going to experience Pitta a lot more. So that will change everything that you experience in your life in a different way. So that's one example. And then another example that's not seasonal is when, after a woman gives birth, she experiences a lot of Vata energy. And so once we understand these foundational concepts, we can apply this knowledge and understand, oh, I know Vata. I know what I have to do to balance it. I know what it looks like when I have too much. And I know what works best for me when my Vata is too high. So powerful, these foundational concepts. And I am so excited for all of humanity once this gets out and we can experience this day to day. I think the effects will be profound. So there we have the elements. That's how we are, some very small, very large examples of how we are affected by them day to day, moment to moment. So then we have meditation. And why is it so important that we practice? Well, another concept in Ayurveda is that through the senses we digest things. When we hear things, we have to digest that information. If we take in food, we have to digest that. If we think of our body as a computer software program, and it's receiving information through these senses that we have. It is constantly receiving information. Well, how do we take care of a computer? We need to reset it. We need to do software updates. We need to give it rest. And I think that that's one of the beautiful things that meditation offers, is that when we sit in rest and silence, it gives our body, our computer, sorry, my voice is getting, it gives our body that rest from the senses. And that is the way that I found. I had a period of my life where I just wasn't experiencing any clarity and I didn't know what to do. And this was the way that I found to become a clearer connection with higher source power. I know we have a lot of different terms and names for it, so I don't like to get caught up in those kind of things. But like prayer, when we are quiet and we're not intaking things, it allows us to be open to receive, because we're not constantly bombarding our body with intake through the senses, because in Ayurveda it understands that we are digesting those things. So that's a foundational part of why I believe that Ayurveda is so important. And those are the main pillars that I believe have made the most influential impact for me in my life. In the last part of this video, I would like to cover because it is such a new concept, what Ayurveda is and what Ayurveda isn't. So, Ayurveda is not a religion. Ayurveda is a foundational set of knowledge and information that we have access to. It doesn't ask that you have a certain God, or that you pray, or that you have to meditate every day, or that you never eat meat again. It's always pick and choose what resonates for you is the most powerful way that you can use this information. And that's exactly the way I like to use it. It's just information, and you get the power to choose what resonates for you and what maybe doesn't. What Ayurveda is nature-based. And like we said earlier with the elements, it's based on the concept that these micro-elements make up the same thing that makes up our bodies, makes up the trees and the earth and the animals, and it is all connected in that cosmic sense. So what Ayurveda is not another place to go to tell you what to do. And maybe this might be a little bit different from how you might, other people might practice and experience Ayurveda, but I see it as empowerment of knowledge. And maybe this was just a little bit of my Pitta stubbornness, but and also having control over your own journey, and to empower yourself to make the right decisions, to make those, people call them failures, but I don't really see them as that. I see them as learning experiences. But say you want to try, because in Ayurveda, if you go to see a practitioner, they will give you oils, tell you to do some yoga poses and some herbs, is typically the way that it goes. But I see it as another way, as being a guide with you on this experience and empowering you to make those choices for yourself. Maybe your body is curious about this herb and wants to know what it's like. And then I'm like, yes, okay, this is what it is. This is what it can do for you, and kind of guide you along in that sense. But I think gone are the days where we just show up somewhere and somebody tells us what to do when we don't understand why, and we're just taking these pills and spending all this money, and it just doesn't make sense, and it's frustrated, and so that's been a part of like my own journey, because I was seeking that out as well. So the way I view Ayurveda, again, just to recap that, is a foundational knowledge of health, so that you can make more informed decisions on your body, mind, and soul. And so lastly, what Ayurveda is not, it is not fast medicine. And I've been practicing for years, and I'm still and always will be a student of Ayurveda and learning. And that's the thing, as I mentioned earlier, as the seasons change and go, there's fluctuations in that, and understanding and gaining that connection back with your body and listening to the feedback system that is always trying to speak with you. But when we don't slow down to listen, how can we hear what our body is trying to tell us? And not to point fingers, but I think also is that if we don't have the foundational tools and knowledge to understand and interpret the data that we're receiving, it makes sense that our brain would quit listening because we don't know what to do with that information. And so, to put that more in context, for my own personal experience, I've had chronic dry skin. And so it's just, I got to put lotion on all the time, especially in the winter, and it gets worse. And Ayurveda has answers for that. And it's about experimenting and playing. And even still, it's not like I just do this one thing and then it's over and done with. It's a constant, and that's what I say about, like, it's not fast medicine. It's learning your body, learning the tools and what works best for you in different situations. And we also have a lot to catch back up on. So detoxing and all of those things, once we start to get more in the habit, then we don't have to wait for our body to start screaming at us before it's like, hey, we need help here. We need something else, something different. And so we have a lot of time to make up for, but I am super confident, and I know that as we go through this journey together and we support each other from a place of love and compassion, that you have the power to take from this what is most influential for you, and that once we all are working from this collective understanding, that we will all feel empowered and make those empowered decisions together. So I hope that cleared some things up for you on what Ayurveda is and what Ayurveda isn't, why those elements are so important, of the doshas, of Pitta, Vata, and Kapha, and why meditation is so important, that we take that time for our computer of our mind and body to give it a break and give it a rest and be like, hey, body, what's going on? And that foundational knowledge of understanding of the elements, and that as we learn to interpret the data differently, that we can make more informed, empowered decisions for ourselves. So I hope this video found you in a great place today. I'm sending you all my love and compassion to you on your journey, and much love to you wherever you are. Namaste.